Hey everyone, it's Jake at Jake's Metal Chat. Hope you're all well and welcome to episode 34 of my Metal Vault, where I will be exploring and showing you my favorite albums within heavy metal, thrash metal, death metal, black metal, doom metal, sludge metal, folk metal, you name it, all of that excellent stuff. Not only will I be chatting about the albums, but also the bands. So the history of the band up until when the album that I'm talking about came out. So any releases before that. You know the drill if you've been watching this series for a while. Anyone brand new, welcome to my channel and welcome to this series. And I got, of course, another banger here. A band from Brazil, formed in 1989, and I finally got to see them last year at the Dare Shack here in Bristol in June. And what a show it was. Finally got to see him and need to see him again. And the album that I'm showing you is from a band called Mystifier. You know these guys. You've seen the title. As soon as you've seen it, you know who the band is. And for anyone that is not familiar with Mystifier, then I highly recommend that you check them out. If you love your mix of black and death metal, these guys have the best of both worlds here. And the album that I am going with here, the album I have for you, should I say, is their 1993 album. I've yet to get their debut, but once I have that, it'll be here on the Metal Vault, on my Metal Vault. So once again, this is Mystifier and their 1993 album, Göetia. Just look at that. The logo in red and the album title in red and just black and white. This is a re-release because obviously album at the top and live stuff, in 1990 and 1994, re-released by Hammerheart Records. Can't remember who released it originally. We'll get that up now. Osmos Productions, and this was released on the 19th of November 1993. Now, before I get onto the band themselves and the album, let's open it up. So, a little bit of artwork there, 2 CDs there, and book, of course. Some behind the scenes pictures and live shows. Let's get that there. And I believe this, yeah, folds right in like that. I like when some album covers do this. Some bands do this with their album covers. It overlays onto the other side, onto the back of the book. Some lyrics. And I believe, I don't think there's any band pictures in here. No, but here are members of the band who played on this album specifically. And very good there. Very, very cool band. Check them out. When did I check them out? Probably I want to say about 2015 thereabouts, maybe a little bit later. I'm not entirely sure. Can't remember now. Checked out so many other bands since then. But Mystifier, what a band. So, Mystifier from Brazil, formed in 1989 and from a place called Salvador, Bahal. I can't pronounce it, so I'll spell it out. Bahia. Not sure how you say that, but I tried my best. Again, my pronunciation skills not the best. And yeah, formed in 1989. They've been going, for what, 35 years now. and just been creating this dark, evil music. Of course, releasing a demo in 1989 called Tormenting the Holy Trinity, which, if you got that back in the day, then awesome, because that's probably not probably, it will be a hard demo to find. Then after that, they did the single, which what tier is called The Evil Ascension Returns, which I haven't heard. It might be on YouTube. I haven't actually had a look here, so I'm gonna have a look after this while listening to some vinyl. Then they did the demo Aleister Crowley, because a lot of lyrics are evolved around, him, and obviously spoke about Satanism a lot. Then they released Wicca in 1992, so that's their debut album. You're gonna know that album as soon as you see it. And that album itself is just heavy. And then they did a split with Marduk. Yes, that Marduk from Sweden. Of course, I don't think there's any other bands there, but just in case there are. And yeah, they did a Göetia and Those of the Unlight. So Göetia obviously be Mystifier, and then Those of the Unlight be Marduk. And then the album in question, Göetia. Now, what do you get with this? Some pure black in death here, like with the riffage, the vocals, mix of black and death metal. Obviously all the lyrics to do with Satanism, occultism, anti-Christianity, mythology, all what you get from bands like within black metal and sometimes death metal. So yeah, this album here, of course, like I said, it's a re-release from Hammerheart Records, which have re-released quite a lot of these albums, and also released albums from bands that they have signed themselves. This is a quality, outstanding album, and of course I'm going to repeat myself saying a lot of the same things, but it has to be said that this is an absolute banger of an album from start to finish. I'll get the album up here again. Here. So starting off, we have Aleister Crowley and the Ordo Templi. Oh, I'm not going to try and pronounce half of these, but obviously the first one being Aleister Crowley, and then an Elizabethan Devil Worshippers Prayer Book, the Sign of the Unholy Cross, Cusamonia. I'm not. That's Göetia. I'll say that. Beelzebub, which is the first song I actually heard from this band. That's how I found out about them. And then the Realm of the Anti-Christus. And then some of these songs are quite long in titles. So the true story about the Doctor Faust's pact of Metamorphosis. I probably just butchered that. Cursed Execution. Exertion. I think that I might have just said that one as well. There's some of these long names. And then the last one, the Baphometic goat of Knights Templar in the 12th century. And I do apologize for butchering half of those names. Again, pronunciation skills not the best when it comes to reading out album titles and other things like that. So I do apologize as always. But obviously, favorite track is Beelzebub. Obviously, and I think the other one that is one of my favorites, of course, the title track, not the title track, the first track, which clocks in at 8 minutes and 3 seconds. Longest one is track number 8. Um, so it's a it's a very solid album. And obviously, when I heard this song, saw the band, and was like, saw the cover of the album, I was like, well, I gotta get the album, because getting into the band, when getting into bands, you gotta get their albums. And I finally got a copy of this. I'm trying to remember where I got this. It No way, I do remember. If I remember correctly, it was at Scandinavia Death Fest in Sweden, Stockholm, Sweden, of course. Yeah, where I got this T-shirt as well. It's always I went, Dismember. And there was a stall, and I saw this, and I thought, I'm buying that. And what a band. Like I said, I saw them in June of 2023 on a Monday, a night of black and death metal, because their support was Blaspheme and Cryptworm, both Bristol bands. And their show was great. Their set was great. Of course, they did play Beelzebub, which, of course, I got to the front for headbanging and just, you know, as you do. Oh, man. There's a lot more I can say about this album here. Like I said, a mix of it's black and death metal. So if you like black metal and death metal, you're gonna like that mix of it. It's a raw, very raw record. Very hang on a minute. Throat's a bit dry. Very raw, heavy, dark, evil sounding record. If you love that evil sounding dark heaviness of an album within the world of black and death metal, this is definitely one that you need to have in your collection and in your life, basically. I mean, I think this was one of the many albums. There's a lot of albums came out in '93. A lot I'm trying to remember at the top of my head. I believe, yeah, there's quite a lot that came out that year. I'm trying to remember some specific at the top of my head. So like Death's Individual Thought Patterns that came out in '93. I believe I'm just gonna stop doubting myself here now because I should know this. Gorgut's The Erosion of Sanity. So it's been a long day today, so trying to remember all these albums that came out that year. Just looking at bands on my jacket and stuff. Sins of Mankind by Cancer came out that year. Quite a lot of those albums came out, and I'm pretty sure this one got pushed back to the pile of albums that were overlooked. And I think this band got, slightly overlooked as well. Obviously, those fan of the underground or within the underground scene would have heard these guys and like just saying to their friends, "Go check this band out, check this band out." And then this album came, I was like, "Check this album out, it's really cool." You know, so like a really cool album, and it is. It's dark, it's heavy, and it's. And I know it's got the devil and that on it, but it's downright evil. Excuse me, and yeah, it's a solid album that people, again, you need. If you haven't heard it, you need to, you know, give it a really, really good listen. For anyone brand new, whatever you use, um, Spotify, YouTube, whatever you use, go listen to it on there. Or if you already have it, give it another spin. If you have it on CD, put in that CD player, got on vinyl, put on your record player. You got on tape. Stick it in your cassette player. For all of you veterans, that word that I use a lot because a lot of you are going to know this album, and again, it'll spark up some memories about when you heard it the first time. You first heard about the band. It might have been because of this album. I don't know, but a lot of people would have known because of the debut, Wicker, or you've been a fan of this band since they started. You would have had the first demo called "Tormenting the Holy Trinity," and you might have the single called "The Evil Ascension Returns," and of course the Aleister Crowley demo. If you got those demos, and so you must be phrase that. If you have those demos, then you are pretty much a die-hard fan of the band since 1989, because that's how long they've been going for. 35 years of being a band, and this album came out on the 19th of November 1993. So last year it turned 30. This year it'll be 31. So yeah, 30 years later, nearly 31, this album's still going strong, and and the heaviness of the album, it definitely shows that. All the songs from start to finish, obviously, you got that mix of keyboard in there as well, because I know a lot of bands would have used keyboards in the studio, and I'm fairly sure when they've played live back in the day, they've had they had keyboards on stage. Obviously, there is a picture in here, which I think I didn't show properly, but if you look closely behind there, you can see someone on keyboard. So yeah, they did have a keyboard player the whole time. Because I know some bands they just use them for studio. So another prime example of a band that use keyboards all the time, Nocturnus. And definitely these guys as well. Definitely these guys. But when I saw them live, it was the bass player, who was also the vocalist, doing keyboards as well, which is just crazy. But he also has another band called Evoked. Sorry, I almost said Evoked, which they only have one EP out, and I heard it. I heard it last year. Of course, it came out last year, and really great stuff. Of course, he's in another band called Infested Blood, which he just did guitar at first, and then went to vocals in 2010. So 10 years after playing guitar in the band, he's also doing vocals, and of course, he's in Mystifier, and he's been in the band since 2013. And looking up the year he was born, he was 10 when this came out. And yeah, crazy. And looking at the past lineups, there are two past members that passed away, one in 2019 and then one 3 years later in 2022. And I believe it could be, oh no, the one I look at joined in 98, left in 2003. And the other one, 2000 and 2003. But yeah, the only one that is still in the band today, the only original member, is, of course, Beelzebub, which obviously there's the song. So he's got more E's than this one. He's been the only consistent member in the band since their formation. He obviously played bass from 1989 to 2001, then switched to guitar and backing vocals in 2000. Backing vocals in 2000, but then switched to guitar Well, actually, well, looking at it, yeah, bass 1989, 2001, guitar vocals backing 2000 onwards. So yeah, I'm just mixing up words here, so I do apologize for that as well. But final conclusion on this album, this band. If you're not too familiar with them and you're looking for a new band and you like black and death metal, then this band's for you. And you're looking for a new album, this one. And of course, check out their debut and check out all their other stuff since then, because they've only had 5 albums out so far. The last one they released was in 2019, which has one of my favorite tracks on it. Well, I love the whole album, but my favorite one, obviously, is which one is it? I think it's the top one. Yeah, Weighing Heart Ceremony. Quality, man. Quality album, this one. Just to stick with this. It's a monumental album because I'm now getting to that point where I'm going to be wrapping this up in a bit, but there's so much more I can say. It's a monumental album. It's superb. It's a classic in in extreme metal, so in black and death metal. Because it's got the death metal riffs, it's got the black metal riffs with all the guitar work, the bass, and of course the vocals. The keyboards add that added layer of dark evilness to the album. Yeah, because it's cool to hear keyboards in metal. Especially when it's bands like this, and like symphonic metal bands, of course. But then you don't really hear it too much in like death and black metal. Maybe sometimes doom, but I don't know. But obviously hearing this is like, yeah, really suits the whole atmosphere of the album, and definitely does it. Definitely does there, and it does not disappoint. And I've said it already. Another absolute banger of an album. Um, Now bands I'm trying to think that are more like them or similar to them. Obviously, there's other bands from Brazil. If I'm going to stick with more of the black and death metal side, so Sarcophago is another one that comes to mind, of course. So many different bands that are like this, are black and death. Uh, there's another one I'm trying to think of here. Um, so yeah, Sarcophago, Volcano. Like that really like underground scene of just underground black and death metal. And Brazil had a well, actually still does have a really strong scene of black and death metal bands coming out of there now. And even like going to like early Sepultura, so Best Hold Devastation and Morbid Visions, early black and death metal there. Early extreme time, what would become those genres. But and of course, these guys were a part of that, at the end of the 80s, but still they would have been going to the shows and I'm like, we want to do this. And then they just gave it all and it's paid off. And obviously 93 comes around and they released this beast of an album. And that's another thing I want to end on as well. And I need to end on it as well. It's a timeless masterpiece. Every album that I have mentioned is a timeless masterpiece. This will definitely be in that list. Might not be in everyone's list. A lot of people might not like this style of metal, like Black in Death. They might not like the production on this album and the other albums that I've mentioned, but I love it. I love that raw sounding production that this album produces. And before I conclude on the album, of course, they had guest musicians focus on tracks 3, 6, and 7, and the keyboards. Of course, he was in the band at that time. I think did some live shows, and production wise, produced by he has produced the album, so that's why it sounds really raw and heavy. Michael Hoffman, engineering and mixing, and Misha Bress did. I think I just said that one. Did the cover art and did stuff for Marduk, Anthropomorphia, Solstice, a different Solstice from the Netherlands. Yeah, some stuff there. Michael Hoffman obviously did the engineering and has done it for the Italian band Sadis. Assassin, which I believe are from Germany, and because he's from Germany as well, and of course for Sodom. So a great engineer to engineer this, and of course, obviously, but it was about producing the album. Saying was like needs to be heavy, it needs to be raw. It's definitely raw, it's definitely heavy, it's dark and it's evil, and it shows in the production. Timeless masterpiece, phenomenal, a monumental album, and absolutely phenomenal album in my opinion. Highly recommend this album, highly recommend this band if you love that good solid mix of black and death metal. Mystifier and Göetia. Excellent. Excellent stuff. And that is it for episode 34 of my Metal Vault. Oh, 34 episodes. Well, my 35th episode is next week, next Tuesday. And like I said, I got a guest. Now, I can tell you who the guest is now, or I can wait. But I might actually tell you in a minute. But of course, this is going to be the longest episode. And after that, same band again, but just the last two albums from the last one from like from obviously late 80s and then the early 90s, and then gonna start getting into the 2000s there, back to the 90s, back to the 80s, of course, and I may go to like the early proto metal bands of late 60s and early 70s. Who knows what will happen with this series, but obviously with my favorite metal underground releases, I still need to do that and mix countries together. But yeah, there's some bands where I'm just going to talk about all the albums at once. So I'll find a band like I'll just talk about all those albums, and it'll be a long video. Who knows? I might have a 4 or 5 hour video on here. Now, the guest that I have planned, I kind of want to keep it a secret, but then I don't want to because it's someone I've had, and I want to do collaborations like this. I keep doing this with my arms. I need to talk my hands and my arms for some reason, but I'll try and stop. Just try and keep him down here. I had him on my chat, of course, back last year. He is local to Bristol. He has a YouTube channel I've mentioned before. Oh, let me mention the YouTube channel and you can guess who I got as a guest. Crushing Sounds. If you've seen the chat, you know who I'm on about. He will be my guest on on my 35th episode of my Metal Vault. He will be the one I will be collaborating with. Crushing Sounds. And if you've seen the chat, you know who I'm on about. But for anyone that doesn't, you'll find out soon enough. So once again, thank you very much for tuning in to this episode of My Metal Vault. Loads more to come because I have so many albums to get through. If I can get up to 100 episodes, I'll just stop for a while. Or even say about 70 episodes. I'll stop for a bit and then give it a bit of a break for like 2-3 weeks and then carry on. Who knows? Anyway, for anyone that is brand new to my channel, welcome to this series. Welcome again. And again, to all you brand new lot out there, don't forget to like this video, share it around, comment down below if you have heard this album, you've heard of the band, and want to learn from some veterans. Any of you out there, comment down below, and if you got to see him back in the day. I'm not sure when they started playing like UK and Europe, but if you got anything to say, comment down below. And most importantly, don't forget to subscribe to keep up to date with everything that I got planned for this channel. Again, more of these My Metal Vault videos, my favorite death metal album videos, which I will be getting back onto next week because I got 4 that I got planned to show that might what's the word? It might expand I might expand the list if I find some more albums because I got to clean out my cover because I got to put all the albums that I put out for certain videos back in the right order. So I'll do that. Of course, my favorite metal underground releases. More chats will come along the way. Just got to go and hit my comb then, and got chat to the people that I want as guests on here. You know, because people get busy with work and family life and touring. So yeah, just to quickly update you on that, as I always do at the end of these videos. So once again, thank you for tuning in. I've been Jacob Jake's Metal Chat. Keep that banner of metal held high. And I will see you all again in another episode of my Metal Vault.